Hello again, this is Tom from leanmusing.com, and I'm bringing you the second video of a series for learning to see, also known as the 7 Deadly Wastes. And for this video, we're going to actually go into transportation in depth. Now, transportation is the first of the 7 wastes, and the only reason it's the first is because it's part of the acronym TIMWOOD, which helps people remember the 7 wastes, and it happens to be the first letter, T. Great. So we're going to actually follow that format anyway, just because I don't know, maybe it makes sense to more people that way. So let's get into it a little bit. Let's start talking about why transportation is a waste and why we want to get it out of our systems as much as possible. Now, transportation, when you think of that word, what comes to mind, especially in the factory? And I guess we'll have a factory-heavy perspective, since that's where most of my experience comes from. But we'll get into other aspects as well. Now, when I think of transportation, I think forklift. I think guy in Lowe's or Home Depot driving a forklift, getting something down from the top rack and bringing it over to the front of the store. And obviously most factories have a lot of racking with a lot of forklift traffic to get whatever they need from one end of a plant to the other, especially in these really large plants. Now, it's funny. It's like, where do you even start with why they're bad? Well, I guess let's start at the very beginning. If you need a forklift, you have to pay for one, right? So you probably got some sort of rental agreement, or if you bought one outright, you probably have some service plan that goes along with it. And everybody knows that every piece of mechanical equipment will eventually need some sort of maintenance. So number one, you have resources being used to maintain equipment, and this is a completely non-value-added activity that needs to be done if you use fork trucks or forklifts. Now, the next thing that I think of is, okay, now that aside, let's say we're using the forklift to move something from one end of the plant to the other. What does that mean? Well, for starters, it means that you're wasting a lot of time getting a product from one end of the plant to the other. Even if you have a forklift, you can only drive so fast, because if you drive any faster, you have a couple of things that may happen. The first thing that can happen is you can hurt someone. So I think every plant should have the mindset of safety first, and this is definitely a high concern for any plant that has a lot of forklifts, because obviously with forklifts driving around, you know, I've felt myself like I was playing a game of Frogger in certain plants that I've worked in, where you've got this area, really high traffic area, where you need to cross, and you're jumping between these forklifts to get there. And these forklifts are 2 tons, 4 tons, whatever they are. They're not going to stop when they hit you, and that's a really scary thing. And you hear all the time of these various accidents that happen with forklifts. People bump into a rack, the entire rack falls down. I know I saw a video on YouTube of that happening at like a Lowe's or something. And it's crazy the amount of damage that they can cause. So you can imagine that the damage that they can cause to a person is pretty extensive. So I don't want to get graphic, so we're not going to get into that too much, but that's definitely a big concern. The other part is quality. Now, people don't usually think of this when they think of forklifts. Well, how does a forklift affect quality? Well, I mean, if it's just sitting on the forklift, it probably doesn't. But as soon as that forklift starts moving and stops short or hits something, whatever it might be, parts can fall off. I've seen it happen, and it's both, again, a safety hazard, and the parts get banged up, and you're looking at a poor quality. You might have to do rework, you might have defects, who knows what it is. But obviously that's a serious waste that you would incur should something like that happen. And are you willing to take that risk? Do you really want to do that? And the answer is yeah, because you probably have forklifts and you probably drive them regularly, and so obviously we take the risk. And it's not to say that that is a bad thing per se. I mean, we all do it. It's just the way that we've worked, and we're careful as we can be, and you know, we try to avoid that stuff. We train, we do this, we do that, we do our checks, and we put up these mirrors, we put up these lights that warn us when people are coming. But accidents happen, and our goal is to try to eliminate those accidents from ever having an opportunity to happen in the first first place. So those are a couple of big things that transportation can affect. But let's go into some other things that are definitely big impacts that transportation can have in your business. Now, a lot of companies have a lot of inventory, okay? And we'll get to inventory next, but for now we're still talking to transportation. However, when you're looking at a forklift moving inventory, what happens? Well, let's say you have 5 pallets lined up. And of course, you need the one in the back because you always need the one in the back. What do? Well, you play that game where you pull out the first one, you set it aside, you pull out the second one, and you set that aside. You do the same for the third, you do the same for the fourth, and finally, you've got your pallet, the 5th pallet, with the stuff that you need on it, and you deliver it to where it needs to go. So you've caused waiting, you're going through inventory, blah, blah, blah. Well, you're not done yet either, because you have to go back, and you have to put the pallets that you moved out of the way back into place for the next time that you need to get the back pallet, of course. Because again, you're going to need the back pallet. That's just how it works. So obviously, that's a lot of time wasted, and I think, as we all know, time is money, and we want to make sure that we can limit the amount of money or time that we waste so that we can be more profitable. More can go to the bottom line. We get more done. We're more efficient, etc., etc., etc. So that's a basic overview of transportation. I guess I should give you a couple examples of how you can eliminate transportation. Really, the best way to do that is to link your processes, get them as close together as they can be, have a line that packs at the end, and then the only transportation you might be doing is putting it on the truck. Now, of course, that's not always viable, and everybody has a different situation, but you have to look at your situation, and you have to be critical, and you have to really ask those tough questions. What can we do about this? What choices do we have, and what do we need to do to try to eliminate this waste? You'll make your workplace safer, you'll have less chances for quality problems, and really, you'll have a lot less cost because you won't have to be paying for all these forklifts. I mean, I've worked at companies where they have 20-something forklifts, 25 forklifts, right? And you think, wow, that is a lot of forklifts, especially in the space that we had. And you didn't even realize you had so many forklifts, and inevitably you'd walk around and there were forklifts not being used. Of course. And the real question is, well, how do we start doing this? Well, maybe sometimes you put the pain in the forefront and you just get rid of a couple and see what happens. Maybe we don't need them at all, right? And we can do work, business as usual, get done what we need to get done, and we instantly can save money on not having to use forklifts. That doesn't always work, but that is a direct hit to the bottom line, and that's something that everybody should think about doing. But of course, there are many other examples, and there are many other instances of where transportation can be a big factor. So I'm going to cut it here for now. I think you all got the gist of what I was trying to say with the transportation waste. And again, you have to look at your process and learn to see where that waste is coming from. So thanks for watching the second video of the Learning to See series, and we'll get over to inventory next, and I will see you there.